What is CSS box model? This question you may hear on almost every front-end interview for junior or middle developers. So what is it? Let's see. So let's create a div in our blank HTML page. And let's write a little bit of the CSS for it. Width will be 200 pixels, height 150, padding let it be 20 pixels, and border 3 pixels. And we will add background to see our div on the page. So that's it. Can you tell now, according to these CSS properties, how big is this div, what's his width and height? If you can't tell it, let's just take a look in DevTools. Here you can see that the width of the div is 246, not 200. So why? Understanding of the box model will help us to answer these questions. So what does box model mean? Every HTML of the page is a box and it has its own box model. Box model consists of 4 things. The first thing is content, and in our case content is what is inside the div. We can put some text or images there and it will appear inside. Second is padding. Padding is a spacing around the content, but still inside of the box. You can see that when you set background, it appears behind content and padding. The third part of box model is border. It's just a border, just like a frame for the picture. And the fourth is margin. Margin, actually we forgot to set margin here. Let's set it. Let's set it to 15. So you can see that margin is outside of the block. It's outside of the border, but it still belongs to the box model. So when browser calculates the size of the box, by default it will add border and padding to the size of a div or any other HTML element. And actual width of our div will be the width of content 200 pixels that we set in CSS, the padding that we set to 20, and the border. So 200 plus 40 plus 6 will be 246, the actual size of the div. Margin is never included in the size, it's always outside, and browser does not count it when it calculates the size. So does it mean that every time when we want to create a block with fixed width we should think about borders and padding? Or can we somehow simplify this? Yeah, if we want our block to be exact size that we set here in CSS and do not add paddings and borders to this, we can use the property box sizing. Box sizing is responsible for how browser will calculate the size. The default value of box sizing is content box. It means that the width that we set here will be applied to only to content of the block, and padding and border will be added on top of this. But if we change it to the border box, you can see that our div became smaller, and now its size is exactly 200 pixels, because now we tell to our browser that we want our border and padding to be inside of these 200 pixels. So our content now is only 154 pixels. This is a little bit more handy if you work with fixed width elements, fixed size elements and layouts, and usually developers do not set box sizing to every single element on the page, but just declare it globally. That's how you can do it. Star is a CSS selector that allows you to select all CSS elements, all DOM elements on the page. So you select all of them, and you also select all pseudo elements before and after. And then you just tell that you want them to be box sizing border box. And now you can remove it from your div, and this will be still applied. And if you want to create one more, and if you want to set it different sizes, you can see that box sizing still applies to both of them, and the width of element is exactly the same that we set in our CSS. That's how box model works. I hope it was useful for you, and if you want to see more tutorials for beginners about HTML, CSS and JavaScript, please write about it below in comment section.